OuterOrange. Hello everybody, OuterOrange here, and we are here today with a deck fight for Card 5 Vanguard. On the right we have me playing Granblue, and on the left side we have Yello, and I'll have his Twitter on the bottom so you can check out all his Angel Feather deck list, but he is playing Angel Feather today in proxy form here in the English format. So here we are starting our mulligans out, and we're going to get into the game shortly. So here we are doing our dice roll, and I actually do lose this dice roll, so I will be going second into this. Yellow will be starting us off by riding, and he will be riding Scaling Angel. Scaling Angel skill is you on Vanguard discard a card, and if it's and you draw one. Sorry, I was trying to make sure. So that's pretty much what he does in this turn, and then he passes the turn over to me. I get my quick shield out, ready to go, and draw a card. We're putting down our cutlass over here, drawing a card, and I think I just go straight for the swing here with a 1-2 pass already. Drive check, I get nothing, so he doesn't take any damage. So then Yellow draws, and he rides into Freezing Granter. Obviously, since I don't have any rear guards, he can't do much with the skill itself, so he goes on in and swings. I let him take the attack. It is a crit Citadel. I take 2 damage. Contemplating my heal there for a second because I'm silly. And then I land with a crit as well, and then I go in and draw, thinking about what to ride at this point. We ride Ghost Ship after that drive check that I just had. Thinking about what to put down, we put down Columbard, use Columbard's skill to mill out something from deck. After much consideration, we pick Banshee. So Banshee to get our Cutlass out nice and early on. Shuffle through my deck, give it back, put Banshee out to Soul Blast, get that Cutlass out of there for any potential counter charges that are needed. On top of that, we also draw a card. Banshee gets 4k off of that. I put down Greed Shade to discard I believe it's a Columbard, and then I bring back my my Crit Citadel here. So I bring back my Crit Citadel to really utilize being on defense. I have a Rune Shade, I put it down, and then I swing with Columbard first. Nice little 9k to 9k. Yellow is making some decisions here. He decides to guard. I swing with my Rune Shade to mill. I mill a crit and mill Necromancer out. Yellow takes the damage, and we swing with our Ghost Ship, swinging for, I believe it's 9 plus 12, so 21. Yellow was deciding what to do. He decides to super hard guard it. I have a heal trigger. I do heal, and I pass my turn after this. Yellow stands. He rides his... He has 2 Metatrons I see in his hand, but he rides his Metatron, gets his Protect 1, puts down Freezing Granter. This time with Freezing Granter, with me actually having a board, he actually uses Freezing Granter's skill, which is Soul Blast. Pick one of my units to bring to the damage section, and then decide to heal one. I chose the Rune Shade to heal in this case. So he uses Metatron's skill to put his damage back into the bottom and take a damage, and he checks a heal, putting the 10k on Metatron. Nope. Our rear guard, that is the Perdurable Phoenix, which is a defense type of card. And he swings with Freezing Granter, which I intercept with. I decided to completely overguard the Metatron attack with my 30k Citadel. He puts power on the Phoenix and draws, and then second check is nothing. And then he swings with the Phoenix, and I choose to guard it with a heal trigger and quick shield, so that way it fits enough. Yellow passes turn. It is now my turn. I draw, and I ride Skull Dragon because I didn't have any grade 3s. It was pretty awful. So I ride Skull Dragon. Move up Greed Shade, put down Columbard to mill through my deck a little bit better and get something out onto the board that will give some really nice pressure here, as I'm not in the best situation since I didn't get my Necromancer or my Nightrose for this. I milled out a Ghost Ship, and I put the Ghost Ship out for that draw potential, and I go straight in with the Greed Shade that is just That is actually at 10 exactly, so he does have the 5k, makes him a 14. Yellow intercepts. I swing with my Skull Dragon. Pretty much add up all the numbers of what it ends up being. Yellow is making some thoughts here, deciding on what he's going to do, if he's going to no guard it or not. He decides to no guard it, so I check a Skull Dragon and I check a critical trigger, put the crit on the Skull Dragon and 10k on the Ghost Ship. Yellow does land a defensive trigger, and he lands 2 defensive triggers back to back. Luckily enough, the Ghost Dragon, the Ghost Ship does still hit. So I hit to his Phoenix, and then I draw a card. Phoenix is a really annoying card in the Angel Feather clan. Phoenix is a defensive card where they can use it to get something from damage onto the board by guarding. And so I thought that getting rid of that would be a really good option. Yellow rides another Metatron, activating Metatron's skill to just blatantly heal a card with Counterblasting 2. And he calls out a trigger, because that pretty much that's what the skill does. You put out a card. Now he's using a new card called Black Mapping Zerachiel, I believe it's called, and pretty much the card gets 10k if you put a new card into your damage zone, and you can Soul Blast and heal a card and also check a card. So he checks a trigger, and he's deciding where to put the power. He puts the power on the same grade 2 that he just used the skill off of. He puts all effects on that grade 2 actually. Then he uses Metatron's second skill, which is again put something from your damage zone to the bottom. And he does land in, and then you check top card and put on top, which he does get another crit trigger. So he puts all effects on Metatron. He's using that grade 1 skill, which pretty much lets you recycle a card with a counterblast from your damage to your hand and from hand to damage. You pretty much pick up your card. It's a really good way to countercharge. He puts Scaling Angel down onto his damage, and then he uses Scaling Angel again, which on rear guard, if there's a normal unit in your drop zone, put a grade 2 or below from your damage zone into your soul, choose a normal unit from your drop zone into your damage zone. So that is what he is doing here. So he puts Zerachiel into his damage. And as you guys know, Zerachiel does ride from damage onto the board so long as she's face up. He uses the new angel. This is Black Jacqueline, which is a really nice card. She rescue checks and gets 3k. You return a card from your damage to your hand and then check top. Now he's going to attack with Metatron going in first, giving me the power numbers, and it's pretty high. I think it's in the I no guard it. He checks a Phoenix and checks the grade 2. I check a defensive, and I check a Ruin Shade. So now my Skull Dragon's at 12. He still has some pretty nice pressure going on his left side, but he's going right side first. So he's attacking my Great Shade. I let him have it, and then he attacks my Van, which I guard. I 30k Sentinel guard it. It's just enough to make it pass. And I stand my units. We draw, and we ride into Necromancer, getting a protect marker. I start off with activating Necromancer's skill. So we CB1 to mill 4 cards. I mill a Necromancer, a Necrobone, a crit trigger, and I believe a Greed Shade there at the end. Looking through my newly added on drop zone, we think about what to put out. Assuming it's probably going to be the Ghost Ship, and maybe Greed Shade's probably going to come back to get our 30k Sentinel. So Ghost Ship comes back. I can put out 3 cards because I did ride from a grade 3, so I have an extra. For every grade 3, I get to add another card. So I do Ghost Ship, Colombard, and I call over just to have an extra bit of drop zone there, and then I activate the Greed Shade. So I start with, I switch them around. So I activate Colombard's skill first. We counterblast, mill something from deck. I mill out Banshee. And I put Banshee out, use her skill to Soul Blast out my dragon so I can have him for my future kill turn. Draw a card, I use Greedshade's skill to discard a card. I discard my other Skull Dragon to mill 2 and bring something back to hand. There's the 30k Citadel, we have brought it out. And I changed my mind, decided to get a heal instead, probably because Angel Feather does have some Sentinel Restraint, so it made more sense to get the 20k. I used Necrobone's skill, put it at the bottom to, and I discard, to bring something out. And we bring out a Skull Dragon, replace it with the Column Bar to make all our columns a little bit more lethal. So, if I'm not mistaken, we should be at 20 now, so now my Necromancer will be damaging for 2 crit. Start with Ghost Ship, but he's rethinking how he wants to block. So he drops a crit trigger, which blocks it, and then with Ghost Ship's skill, I draw a card. Checking my drop zone, I attack with Necromancer for that 20k. Have a booster and crits. Having exactly 20. Oh, I have 19 actually, so what I do instead is I attack with my Skull Dragon to make sure we get to 20. Giving the number for Skull Dragon. Yello does decide to take it. He gets a heal, but the heal does not go off. I now attack with the Necromancer with all the pressure possible. And Yello is deciding how he wants to guard this. He decides to perfect guard it, and then I check a Tommy and I check a Tommy, double Tommy back to back. Now Yello's turn, he switches everything out. He draws a card, and let's see what he will do. So he rides Metatron once more. Using Metatron's Counterblast 2 skill to call a rearguard onto the board. He puts out a Scaling Angel to the board. Uses Metatron's skill to take a heal, put it to the bottom of the deck, and take a damage. The damage is nothing in terms of drive checks. He calls over his crit trigger to call out, I believe that's the Phoenix. So, since I do need the counterblast, I decide to no guard. Yello lands a draw trigger, so he puts the 10k onto his grade 2 rear on the left side. Then he does his second check. After the draw, sorry. Then he does a second check, and I take my 1 damage, which is a Tommy. Next, he swings with his rear, attacking for, I believe it's like 17, maybe a little bit higher, maybe 20, if they gain power. So, making some decisions here, I decide if I want to guard this left side. I do guard it with a heal trigger. And then I also guard the other side with a heal trigger as well. That ends Yellow's turn, so I draw. Getting kind of low on our deck here, trying to think what we can do. We ride Nightrose, get a Protect 1. Make some pretty strong decisions here of how we're going to make our play. Put out Tommy just to filter our deck a little bit further. I discard the Night Mist, that way if I need to multi-attack I can use him. So I use Necrobone's skill, I discard the Tommy to bring out a Skull Dragon. Knowing that Yello is only a 2 damage, it's kind of rough to decide exactly how to kill him without decking out. So I really have to make some tough decisions here of what I want to do. So I use Cutlass's skill to bind a Cutlass, call it over to countercharge. And I mill 1. Decide to go in straight for the swing, with it being 14 and 13, which is like 27, I believe, 37. To Van. At this point I just go straight ham because I have nothing else really that I can do. And then I decide to read the Phoenix, trying to remember what it does. And that is the Phoenix. Yello is contemplating how to guard. He decides to guard with a heal trigger. He decides to no guard it. Checking his damage, no trigger. I attack with Skull Dragon for a pretty obscene number. I have 24 in drop, so whatever is higher than that. He PGs it. They go away. We swing with Nightrose. Activate Nightrose's skill. Bring out another dragon. Pretty much I just do 2 skills in one. Here we bring out the Columbard and counterblast pretty much twice. Once for Nightrose, once for Columbard. We search out a Cutlass just in case we need the countercharger. And then we called out the Skull Dragon with Columbard's skill. So here we are swinging for, I believe, 22, 8, 30, 35 to Vanguard. So Yellow puts it at a 2 to pass. Actually, it might even be a 1 to pass. Oh, he uses Phoenix's skill to put it at a 2 to pass. So I do my first check, deciding where I'm going to put my power. I put all effects on my Skull Dragon, and second check is nothing. I swing with one dragon. He takes it. And then I swing with the other dragon. That has now 2 crit on it. He perfect guards it. And that ends the turn. It is now Yellow's turn once more. And we are down to, I believe, 9 cards in deck. At this point of the game, it's pretty close. I have no counterblast. Yellow has a lot of counterblast, so he can do whatever he needs to do in terms of rotating through. So, which is what he's going to do. He's going to start rotating through his damage checks here. He puts down the grade 1 that you counterblast, put something from your hand to the damage zone, and from the damage zone back to your hand. Filtering out his hand a little bit more. Then he does Metatron skill to put a card from the bottom and take a damage. Then he puts down the new grade 2, Jacil, I believe her name is, which is return 1 card from your damage zone back to hand and then take a damage. And he checks a Zerachiel. And she also gets 3k for using that skill. Calls over his other one to call out the other grade 2. This is the Zerachiel Black Mapping, which Soul Blast to heal a card and deal damage, so he does another check. This is him filtering through, but also trying to get to as many drive checks as possible. She also gains 10k power for her skill. Now he is doing his grade 3 Searcher check, so that gets his Feather Palace out there. Feather Palace being a pretty nice finisher. We'll see how this plays out. So calls over the grade 2 to put the Feather Palace out. Now the Feather Palace can do some work. He's going to put the Zerachiel up to get another perfect guard, enabling the Feather Palace check. So Feather Palace can now be Soul Blasted to do all that. So he gains another Protect using Zerachiel's skills twice, which is going to guarantee the Feather Palace swing with the Citadel Restraint. Now also his front has 3k from Zerachiel's skill. So he's going to start with Vanguard first. I perfect guard this since I can't perfect guard the Citadel. Citadel Restraint, Feather Palace. He checks nothing. He's got the Feather Palace and it's grade 2, I believe it was. He's going to swing with Feather Palace, Soul Blasting 2 grade 3s, enabling the, I believe it's 20k and a crit. Or if it might be even 30k and 2 crit, something like that, but very, very strong attacker here. So I guard it and guard it and guard it some more. Getting my bones ready for next turn. He passes turn, which was really smart considering it lowers my chances of trying to get Nightrose's skill to pop off. Luckily enough, I did mill out a Cutlass early on, so I am able to at least countercharge once to get some skills to pop off. And that was pretty much the game plan behind milling the Cutlass the turn before. I could have milled out the Necrobone, but this felt stronger. So I'm going to Necrobone twice essentially here. I'm discarding 2 cards to get some cards out. So there's the 2 Necrobones. And then we're going to bring out 2 dragons. Then I put down a grade 1 that's not very commonly seen, but it gains 10k power and 10k shield if you have 15 cards or more in drop, which I do. I also Cutlass, so that way we can have pretty much another card down in there. Now we're doing... Now our drop zone's getting quite higher. Also, my Vanguard Swing will be 50, if I'm not mistaken. 22, 8, 30, 40, yeah. 40, 45. I know he has a lot of perfect guards, but I just have to go all the way out here. So I Skull Dragon him. Which is up at 27 times 2 times 5, whatever that number is. He is at 4 damage, so he does have a chance here. He checks. He does not check a trigger. We do another Skull Dragon swing. Perfect guards this one. We put it into a drop. Now we swing with Van, activating Nightrose's skill to pick a column. I decided to go for a Tommy, since Tommy is a 13k booster, making that column just ever so stronger if need be. So now I'm taking 45 to his Vanguard. He has a Perfect Guard and a Feather Palace in his hand. So he no guards it, and we put all effects on the Van, well, effects and crits on the Skull Dragons, which ends the game for this one. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in a future video. I hope you guys liked this type of video. It's a little different from usual. I'm still getting kind of the hang of commentating in general. Not really something I normally do outside of my normal activities of being an OuterOrange. So this is quite interesting. I really enjoy doing it, and I do want to get used to doing it. So hopefully in the next future videos, I'll get more and more comfortable with it, and I'll get better at doing this. And we gotta, as me and Yello, we gotta get better at playing faster. But anyway, guys, thank you for watching. As always, I'll see you guys in a future video. Please like, subscribe, comment, do all that fun stuff to make a girl happy. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Peace out, guys, and das vidanya.